how to search for business acquisition deals. So business acquisitions, you've got your deal specification, you know your M&A strategy, you now need to go and search for these businesses. So how do you search for these businesses? When you are searching for businesses, there's two main principles when it comes down to searching for acquisitions. And this, by the way, is the same for properties, it's the same for partners, it's the same for recruiting staff members. When you're going to search for anything within the business world, you're going to have on market or open market, and then you're going to have off market as well. How does it even apply for recruitment? You have people that are not looking for a job, you go and headhunt them and then you attract them to your business. Same way, just like for business acquisitions, you're going to use these two principles, which is open market or on market, and then you've got off market deals. Yeah. So of course, it goes without saying that you're always going to get a better deal when you go off market, or you've got more chance of getting a better deal when you're off market. Now that does not mean that you can't get good deals when you're going for the open market. There are plenty of good deals available everywhere. All you need to do is have your deal hat on. Yes? When you have your deal hat on and you are committed to the process of getting a deal done that is good and brings value to you, and is good for your business and good for your income and is good for your long-term goals, you will be able to get a deal done, right? You have to be resourceful, you have to be able to want the deal, and you have to be able to know how to get a deal done. But as long as you know all of these things, you will be able to get a deal done. So we're going to talk about open market first, and so open market is literally brokers and websites, okay? So business brokers and all of these, like there's websites which are available now. Yeah, so Biz Buy Sell, Business for Sale, Dalton's Business or something, whatever. You do Google search, right? Whatever your industry is, business for sale. Okay? So let's say, for example, you are in the IT repair space. Yeah, so you say, okay, IT company for sale. Let's say, for example, you are into selling cars, car dealership for sale. It's pretty straightforward. It's not difficult, right? Google search, basically. Now, brokers get a bad rap. I give a bad rap to brokers in my videos. So, of course, you'll see in other videos where I say brokers don't know what they're talking about, so on and so on, which is true for majority of the business brokers out there. But there are some really good business brokers, by the way. I'm not saying all of them don't know what they're talking about. You know, when you are dealing with brokers, when you get to a certain stage in acquisitions, like when I'm talking to brokers, I know so much more about acquisitions than they do, especially the people on the front line. In a brokerage firm, you might have one or two partners who know the same as me, for example. Yeah, so they know the same amount that I do with regards to acquisitions and business sales, mergers and acquisitions. But the people who are working for them, they don't know, because they've never progressed the deal to the end. They've never actually purchased a business or sold a business themselves, right? They're working for a company. So they don't know what they're talking about. However, you can get some good deals with brokers. If a broker knows how to value a company properly, and this is why brokers get a bad rap, because they get a business. Let's say, for example, there's a business, right? And that business is doing $1 million in profit, because valuations are based on profit, right? That business doing $1 million in profit, that business is going to be valued at 3 to 5 times multiple, depending on the industry. Okay, so obviously if it's technology, SaaS, something like that, it's going to be more than that. And it's going to be SaaS is not valued on profit, it's valued on revenue, but that's besides the point. Okay, generally speaking, 80% of the businesses out there are going to be valued at 3 to 5 times multiple when you have $1 million profit business. Okay, $1 million in profit. What they're going to do is that they're going to talk to the seller and they're going to say your business is worth at least 5 million. So what they're going to do is that they're going to say that that's the minimum price that you can achieve for your business, but we are going to get, for example, 8 million or 10 million. Now, I'm not saying that that the valuation can't go to 8x. I've got another video which talks about valuation, and I also do say that valuations can get to 8x. In fact, it can go even further than that. But there's circumstances about how a valuation can go that far. But when the business broker says you're going to get minimum 5 million for the business and possibly 8 million for your business, you know, the seller, the only thing that they can hear is 8 million. They don't care that you said 5 million. They only care that you said 8 million. Why? Because of course, when you're selling something, you want to achieve the maximum result for yourself. Yes? When I'm advising my sell-side clients, and I'm saying to them, right, this is what we can achieve normally. And if all of the ducks are in the row and the right buyer comes along and the circumstances are correct and all of the stars are aligned and everything's done properly, that's when you can get 8x, right? But I say everything needs to be perfect in that state, and there needs to be a right buyer as well. That's the difference between me. I make sure that the expectations are low, even though we can achieve a higher price if we can get the right buyer. But other brokers, they say minimum 5 million. Now you come along, and firstly, what you do is that you realize, hold on a second, the profit isn't even one. See, that's the thing. The other thing that business brokers do. Now we're getting to the conversation of valuations. Let's talk a little bit about here. Yeah? They do so many add backs which shouldn't be added back. So a business needs to spend money on marketing, right? This is, by the way, an add back that I saw 2 days ago on a business that I was analyzing. They had a marketing budget of 260,000. Okay, and what the broker said, oh, you don't need to spend 260,000 on the marketing. You're going to add that back to the profit. Now, what I did is that I looked at the previous, I think it was 5 years worth of accounts. And I saw the years, there was 2 years in which they didn't spend money on marketing. Or not at this level anyway. They spent something like, it was under 100k in marketing, yeah? Their revenues dropped by 200,000 in those years. Their revenues dropped by 200,000 in those years. It wasn't 200,000. One of them was 200,000. That's when they had dropped it a little bit. And another one was like 400,000 approximately. Okay. In any case, there was a significant drop in the revenues of the business in the years that they didn't spend money on marketing. So if they don't spend money on marketing, their revenues go down and the profit was significantly lower as well. So therefore, I'm saying to the broker, hold on a second, you can't add back, you can't say that you can't spend money on marketing, because look at these years in which marketing wasn't spent on, and therefore the revenues went down and the profit went down. So he's like, oh, it's the business owner's choice whether they want to spend on marketing or not. It is a choice, of course. It's a discretionary thing. You know, some owners don't spend money on marketing and some owners don't. But there's evidence that the business performs worse when it doesn't spend on marketing, so therefore you can't add it back. And marketing is a normal business expense, and we are very big on marketing in our companies. So marketing is a big part of what we do. We want to be able to acquire customers. Anyway, so you can see this whole situation. That's why business brokers get a bad rap, because they're trying to add back things like marketing. Staff training. I'm going to ask a question and all of you are going to know the answer. If you have a well-trained workforce, will they perform better? The answer is yes. If you have a workforce in which you're not investing in the workforce and not progressing their skills for them to be able to do the job that you've employed them to do so they can serve your customers, do you think they're going to end up doing a worse job? The answer is yes, they're going to do a worse job. So they're saying, right, you can add back staff training. Yes, it's a discretionary item. Not everyone needs to spend money on training all the time. Like you can have two businesses in the same industry. One spends on training, the other one doesn't. Okay? But which one has a better workforce? Now, retention of staff, all of these conversations come in. Anyway, let's stop talking about the crazy things that business brokers do. But if you do find a good business broker, and they are, for example, valuing things sensibly, and they do. For example, I'm currently dealing with a business broker right now, and they have valued the business sensibly. In fact, I looked at everything that they add back, this particular other broker. I looked at every single thing that they added back, and I looked at their valuation, and I agreed with everything. I only had one question with regards to the add back because it was unclear about the item itself. Okay, it was unclear regarding the item itself, and I'm getting further clarification on that particular item right now. Otherwise, it was it was a good valuation. I agree with the valuation. Obviously, I'm going to negotiate. It doesn't mean I'm not going to negotiate. I am going to negotiate. And of course, I'm going to try and achieve the best deal that I can for myself. I'm going to do it in a way that's sensible. I'm going to do it in a way that we can possibly get the deal done. So there are good deals to be done via brokers. You just need to find the right ones, the right brokers I'm talking about, and the right businesses and the right sellers. And also with regards to sellers, when you're talking to sellers after they've dealt with brokers, look, a business doesn't have a price tag on it in the same way that a house does, on the same way that, this board cleaner bottle does, for example. All of these things have a price tag. That's, I don't know, that's $4.99, $8.99, whatever. A house is, for example, $500,000, and there's other houses which are exactly the same on the same road which have sold for that price. You've got a price tag there. Businesses are negotiated on the negotiating table. They do have intrinsic value, and again, we're not going to go into valuations right now. They do have intrinsic value. They have fair market value. And you can say that those two, intrinsic value and fair market value, are probably the closest thing that you can do to have a price tag on a business. But otherwise, you could negotiate. If there's a business owner and they've got a great deal, let's say for example you're a mid-market business. A mid-market business, you've got IP on particular products. Yeah, you've got intellectual property, trademark, no one can do them. You're doing, for example, I don't know, 25 million in revenue, and you're doing, for example, 3 million in profit. Okay, because you've got that IP and no one else can sell that product, your business is going to be worth more than 3x. It might be worth 5x minimum, up to 8x for argument's sake, yes? So that's going to be a 15 million valuation. Or if you're going 8x, what's 8 times 3? Like 21 or something like that, yeah? So, or 20, yeah, whatever the number is, that's going to be the valuation of the business. So either 15 or 21 million. That's a true valuation. So sometimes a business can be valued higher. A business can be valued at a higher rate, and that's perfectly fine as well. Now, if you do find a good broker, there's a deal to be done. And you got websites in which business owners, for example, they list their own businesses. Now, those are a cross between open market and off-market deals. Off-market deals. Okay, they're a cross between the ones where the sellers are listing their own businesses. Now, the thing is that sellers who are listing their own businesses, normally they're micro businesses or small business, the lower end of small businesses. So they might be doing 1 million or 2 million in revenue. Because any good business owner, business person would know that if you hire an M&A professional who knows what they're talking about, they're going to be able to get more money. They might have to pay higher fees, but they're going to get more money for the deal because they've got a professional handling the sale in the right way. Okay? So that's why when you're going to websites, find out, is it a broker listing it or is it a direct seller listing it? So you can get a good deal there as well. To be perfectly honest, I've never had a good experience with a business owner who has listed their own business for sale and on one of these websites. They actually don't know what they're talking about, and it's unrealistic what they want. The thing is that business owners don't know the values of their own business. So you always have to take a pinch of salt and you have to educate them about what their values are. One good thing about on-market deals is that you can normally get a deal done faster on-market deals. And the reason for that is because brokers have, good brokers I'm talking about, corporate advisors, M&A corporate advisors, they have compiled a data room, they've collected the accounts, they've got the legal matters in order to some extent. And that's what I'm saying, you can really see the difference between a good broker and a bad broker. Because a bad broker, the worst broker that I've ever come across, the guy sends me a sales brochure document, information memorandum. He goes, there's this business for sale. Are you interested? I said to him, send me the accounts. He goes, I don't have the accounts. I said, okay, that's fine. Have you seen the accounts? He says, no, I haven't seen the accounts. So I said to him, you've not seen the accounts? I said, what have you seen in terms of financial records? He said, nothing. I said, so where did you get this valuation from? He goes, oh, the seller told me, the business owner told me that this is what it's making. I'm like, come on, guy. Business owners don't know what they're talking about. They don't, in terms of true profitability of how to value a business, they don't know what metrics to use. So how do you know what they're talking about is even true when you haven't checked any financial documents? Anyway, coming back to good business brokers, they've compiled this data room, they've got all of the accounts in order, they've done evaluation on the business. As long as it's sensible, then you can get a deal done faster because the business owners are in that mindset already that they want to sell. They've actually put it on the market, and therefore you come in, you step in, and you're basically, you hit the ground running. As long as you can get a deal negotiated, which is good for you and good for them, you can hit the ground running. And sometimes, for example, they already have legals appointed, they have solicitors and lawyers appointed, they have their accountant already appointed, and that's really good because if you've got all of your deal team ready, then you can hit the ground running as well. Right, off-market deals. So this is pretty simple. You just find brokers, you find websites, and you do the deals. Off-market deals, this is a bit of a longer process. It's a longer process. And how do you find these? Okay, with these, you basically call up brokers, you find out more names of more brokers, you call them, and you search the websites and so on. With these, you have to take a different approach. This is a approach of networking. That's ultimately what it is. It's about networking, yeah? So let's take a look at some of the ways of market deals. You've got your professional network. Okay, professional network. You're a business owner. Let's say, for example, you are in the food distribution space. Okay, very good market, by the way, for mergers and acquisitions. You're in the food distribution space. You've got suppliers, you've got other vendors, you've got so on and so on, you've got customers. They also know people who are in the food distribution space, other people. Do they know if someone is willing to sell? Or at least have the conversation. When you approach these people, say, oh, I just want to have a business conversation, a conversation where we possibly can go into partnership or have some sort of partnership, joint venture. That normally, no one says no to a potential joint venture. They're at least willing to have the conversation. Unless they're super busy, then you probably know that they are either very motivated, by the way, if they're super busy, or they're not motivated at all. Yeah, but normally people are willing to have joint venture conversations. So check your professional network like that and your personal network. You have to tell people. You have to tell people that you're in the business of buying businesses. Okay, you are in the business of buying businesses, and that's how you're going to get deals done. So you check your professional network and you check your personal network. Social media is huge these days, right? Especially like LinkedIn. And don't discount Facebook and Instagram. There are hundreds, thousands of business owners on Facebook and Instagram. You just have to sort of be sensible about it. First do the connect, then have a conversation or start a conversation. Make sure that they've got a decent sized business. Right, we'll talk about that in a minute. So social media, and then make sure they have a decent sized business, and then go into the joint venture conversation. And then from there, you talk about selling their business or buying their business. They talk about them selling their business. So social media. And by the way, you can do organic and you can do paid as well. You can spend money on paid ads. Let's say, for example, food distribution. Again, you're going to buy other businesses in the food distribution industry. You say, are you in the food distribution industry? Are you looking to sell your business? Simple as, right? And then when they come through and they click through the ad, you just have a bit of qualifying criteria questions on the other side via questionnaire. And then if they pass, then they book a call with you, right? That's really good. So you can spend money on that. The other way is through letters. This is one of my personal favorites, by the way. And you want to handwrite on the envelope. You don't have to handwrite the letter itself, but you have to handwrite the envelope. Or you don't have to, but you should handwrite the envelope. Why? Because it makes you stand out. Every time I get a handwritten envelope letter, I open it. Every single time, right? Without fail. There's never a time in the last however long I've been receiving letters for that I've received a handwritten letter and I haven't opened it. There's never been a time. I've always opened a handwritten letter every single time. So letters, and the more personal you can make this, the better it is. So what does that mean? Now, it's not scalable when you're making things personal, but if you spend the time to do your research, you're a business owner, you've got an assistant. Well, you should have an assistant anyway, right? You have an administrator, whatever. Tell them to go and find out about the big businesses which meet your criteria, and then find out a little bit more about the business, and then get them to draft a first draft. Yes, give them a few points that they can write in the letter, and then you look at that draft, make a few edits. So fair enough, that's fine. Handwrite an envelope and send it out. Okay, that is really, really powerful. So letters is extremely powerful. Is there any other ways? Yeah, cold email and cold calls. Cold email and cold calls. So now the conversion rate on cold emails and cold calls, and also social media, by the way, is quite low. Right? The conversion rate on letters, personal network, professional network is high. And the reason why is because with these you normally get an introduction. So you get an intro from someone who is an intermediary between you and the other business seller. With letters, it's quite unique in the way that people don't receive letters. They receive tons of email and they receive tons of cold calls. But not tons and tons of letters anymore. So that's good and it makes you stand out. So this is not scalable to the same level as cold email and cold calls. By the way, if you're personalizing them. If you're not personalizing them, then you can use these letter distribution companies to send out blasts. Right? They send out hundreds and thousands of letters for you, and you just pay them and do that. Cold email and cold calls, there's so many softwares that you can use for both, but particularly cold email. Yeah, so you can do that and you can blast out. But the thing is that, people get so many cold emails that it's just like delete, 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 delete. Me personally, to be honest, I read about 50% of my emails. And that's the benchmark, by the way. 50% is actually probably quite high. I probably read about 30%. And that's actually the benchmark. When you send out emails, by the way, when doing email campaigns, it's about a 20 to 30% conversion rate, which is an open rate, not conversion rate, I should say. An open rate, which is quite normal. So these are the ways that you can do off-market deals. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, there's nothing else to it. It's the same as properties. It's the same as anything else. There's no other way that you can do it. By the way, if you know, like if you're utilizing AI in some way to make contact with sellers, then that's something I don't know about yet. And tell me if you do. Right. When you are searching for deals and you are looking and you're looking at these accounts and so on, it's so easy to get distracted from your deal specification and your M&A strategy. And I want to highlight here, it's so important that you stick to your M&A strategy and you stick to your deal specification. Now, sticking to strategy and specification is different, or pivoting, I should say. Pivoting to a different strategy and pivoting to a different specification is different to not sticking to your strategy and specification. Not sticking to your strategy and specification basically means completely ignoring the strategy that you came out with for no reason at all. And also, specification is getting distracted with deals. Normally it would be smaller. If you find deals, by the way, which are bigger, you want to go for them, right? So if that goes out of your strategy, but you've managed to find something which is bigger than your specification, you should definitely buy that business if it makes sense in terms of turnover, profitability, and all of the other factors that are in your specification. But if it's smaller, then don't go small. Unless you're getting a deal where you're getting it for like 1 times multiple, right? Or less. Multiple or less. And you can see clearly that post-acquisition is not going to be a problem for you, then I would say, okay, you can go for it, but I wouldn't advise it still. Okay? Now, you can pivot. So, for example, let's say you started off in the industry of selling signs. Okay, like shop signs that you get and so on. So let's say, for example, you started in the sign industry. And then you realize, hold on a second, there's actually more opportunity in the printing machines for the signs. Yeah? The printing machines for the signs. So how they develop the signs and they print on those signs. That's a pivot of industry. So you're going to from essentially serving business clients directly for their signs, B2B for signs, to B2B to the sign shops or sign manufacturers. The sign shops, basically, that's what they are. So you see, okay, you know what? The sign industry maybe is difficult to get a deal done, maybe the deals are too small. But you know, these printing machine companies, they're making a killing. Their margins are so high and it's fragmented. So therefore it's ripe for consolidation. Yes? So you can pivot. I think pivoting is different to ignoring your strategy and ignoring your specification. So if you take one thing away from here, is to ensure that you search both ways, both on-market deals, open market deals, and off-market deals. Give priority to networking and letters for off-market deals. And stick to your strategy and your specification. Because when you move away from your strategy and you move away from your specification, for no apparent reason at all, no good reason, 7 times out of 10 you're going to be making a mistake. Okay, sometimes it's a good thing, and by it just so happens that it's worked out for the better. But 7 times out of 10 you're going to be making a mistake. But don't forget, you can pivot, and it's okay to pivot. Some people actually feel afraid to pivot. They're like, oh, I done all of this work to get to the stage that I am right now, and if I pivot, then what are people going to say? Look, don't care about people. If you or what they're going to say. You have to care about people, but don't care about people, what they're going to say about you. All you need to worry about is this good for your future and your family or not? And if it is good for your future and your family, then go ahead with it. And it doesn't matter what other people say. Look, they're always going to be haters. They're always going to be haters. And for example, your mum's always going to love you. Yeah? These two things never change. Your mum is always going to love you, and there's always going to be haters. So carry on, have a good relationship with your mum, and don't worry about the haters, and you do what's right for you. As long as, for example, sticking to the strategy, sticking to the specification that you made is good for you, continue. If you think that pivoting is the best thing for you, then you have to do it based on data. Look, you have to do everything based on data. If you don't have data and you're making decisions without data, then you're setting yourself up for failure. Data is so important in business, by the way. This is not just about M&A. This is about running a business in general. You've got operations. Let's say, for example, you've got a new campaign. You set all the campaign up and start running ads and start doing, you've got a sales team behind it, and leads are starting to come in, and the data is showing that, for example, it's not profitable. Oh, sorry, you got no data, you don't know whether it's profitable or not. So how are you going to act? Yes? But if you have data, you realize, okay, you know what, this is profitable, let's throw some more money in this. If it's not profitable, can we make it profitable? Or do we cut this particular offer? Yes? The only way you can do it is through data. So when you're searching for deals, and for example, let's take this industry, the sign industry and the printing industry, if the data shows you that the printing industry is better and it's got more opportunities for acquisition, then pivot. And if it isn't, then you can stay in your sign industry and continue to buy up shops which make signs for other shops and other businesses. So I hope that's helped you in understanding how you can search for businesses. And remember, you can do on-market deals. On-market deals, there's plenty of deals done. There's a reason why they're on market. It's because there's a market for mergers and acquisitions, right? So you can do deals there. But of course, try your best to build some off-market deals, especially through partnerships. Partnerships are the best, because normally the other person is vouching. Now, one other thing with regards to partnerships, this is really important, in fact. It's a good thing I remembered this. So you have to give your specification to your partners. Yes, so whoever your partners are, give them the deal specification. And let me tell you something. Even when you give them the deal specification, they're still going to bring you deals which doesn't meet the specification. Too small, not enough, too slim, for example, outside of your target market. All of these things, or too owner reliant, for argument's sake, you're still going to get, you're going to tell them again and again. What I've done is I've actually put everything in paper and I've given it to my partners, the ones that we work with continuously. And so, right, if it meets this criteria, check it. Right, check, when I say on paper, I mean in message, email. Check the business. If it meets this criteria, make an introduction. If it doesn't meet the criteria, tell the business thank you very much, or the business owner thank you very much, but we're not interested. Yes? So when you're working with partners and you're networking with your professional industry and your personal network, now this is easier to do it with your personal network, meaning giving the specification to them in writing, and it's easier to do with your employees or your executives. Obviously, if you've got another business, for example, who's your supplier, you can give it depends on the relationship that you have with them. I have many suppliers, I don't know what the number is. Let's say, for example, I have 8 suppliers, which are big suppliers. I've given the deal specification to like 2 of them, and the others I haven't, because the relationship isn't that close, right? That I can just say, okay, stick to this. If it doesn't meet this, then don't send it to me. The other ones I said, look, if you ever find a business owner who wants to sell, just let me know. And then obviously I go through the specification. When you get good at mergers and acquisitions, instantly you can tell whether it meets your criteria or not. I have conversations which last minutes, and then I dismiss them or I make them continue. Sometimes they fall through the cracks. You have another meeting and you realize it doesn't meet your criteria. That's a different story. That happens with anything in life. So stick to your specification, but go out and search. And look, you need to search. Some people, they search for like 5 businesses and say, I can't find a business to buy. There's 5 businesses and they say, I can't find a business to buy. Look, out of 100 deals, this is so important as well. Okay, out of 100 deals, only 2 to 5, let's say 2 to 5 of them are worth looking at. And then, so that's 2% to 5%. Only 2% to 5% of the deals are worth looking at. Why? Because they're a motivated seller, meets your criteria, so on and so on and so on. And then out of those 2 to 5, for example, that you look at, half of them get dismissed in the second meeting. Half of them get dismissed in the second meeting. So when people say to me they looked at 5 deals, I was literally holding my head in my hands and like, what's going on? No wonder you're not successful. Yes? I mean, if you're a business owner, you know that. It takes reps. You have to do a lot of reps before you're able to get something done properly. Sometimes you get lucky. To be perfectly honest, I think my first acquisition, it was probably the 10th deal that I looked at. However, I still looked at loads of other businesses and I came back to the conclusion that this 10th one is the best one to go for my first acquisition. Large debt service cover ratio, decent profits. Now obviously I still say now it's too small, but let's forget that fact right now. But it was the right acquisition to do for my first deal and we got the deal done. So that's it for search. If you want to find out more about mergers and acquisitions, value acquisitions, how to increase equity value, how to sell a business, continue watching videos on my channel. Of course, there's links in the description if you want to get in contact, get some help in your journey in mergers and acquisitions, and I'll see you in the next video.